Hey there, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Energy Unleashed with Suzanne and Kim. And we are both up north.
We are up north. Hello,
Yeah,
everybody.
it feels good up here. We're northern Minnesota, both of us at our cabins, and we've got a really beautiful day going with I am a wind freak, and so I'm happy as can be because the wind is just pouring through both of our screen porches.
It is. I said we should do a sound one for everybody because it's so relaxing to listen to the wind.
I was sitting out
Wow.
here doing a little bit of meditating this morning too, and I love just the sound of wind, which is really just nothingness, but there's a lot of noise all at the same time. It's crazy.
Well, for me, it's the trees too.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
just really the leaves and the branches and the creaking and the all of
And
it.
the birds are crazy up here. But what's so funny, we were chatting before we started, is we're sitting here at what? August, what is it? It's only the 12th.
Yeah,
And it feels like fall.
it does. It's only like 63 or 4 degrees.
We're sitting in our screen porches with blankies on our laps and slippers on our feet. And I'm thinking, geez, Louise, we're usually in the water at this point, hotter than snot up in northern Minnesota.
I
I don't
know.
know. World's kind of crazy right now. So,
Yeah.
all righty. I wanted to do something today, Kim, that is really actually a common thing that I come across and have for many, many years. And I come across it myself, as have you. I had a client the other day who was new. She was really frustrated and really wanted to connect with her guidance. And
Oh,
she said, I feel like I'm offline. She said, I've had times in my life where I've connected and I felt really good about it. And she said, lately, I feel like I'm just offline. And I have made reference in the past too, where sometimes I feel like my guys are all having like this gathering outside the door, and I hear them like Charlie Brown's teacher, like wah, 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 but I can't get the message because I feel like I'm cut off. Does that ever happen to you? Like you feel like you're just left out of the party?
oh yeah. I absolutely go through peaks and valleys of I feel because I feel more than I see or hear or like well I can
Right.
hear too, but um I feel when I'm surrounded and it's because I'm allowing myself to feel it.
Right.
There are times where I'm like, where the hell are you guys? Like
Right.
seriously, what's happening right now?
I got to cover up a little. I'm starting to get cold. This
Well,
is
it's so
crazy.
funny. The wind started really gusting when we
Yep, here we
started.
go. Suzanne's out to play. Every time we come out here to do anything psychically or spiritually, Kim and I, the wind just kicks up like crazy. It's pretty funny.
It does.
The other day we did a little thing for Lionsgate, and the wind was coming so crazy we just were like we couldn't even concentrate. We were
No,
laughing so
it
hard.
was, I was laughing. Everything was flying around the room. It
Yeah,
was,
so talk about guidance. So for me, things like that are a really clear indicator that I'm still connected. But I get what this lady was saying. Now I want to talk about her just a smidgen in that she, in her childhood, she had a lot of trauma. She had a lot of things happen. She felt like she always wanted to connect throughout her life. And to be perfectly honest, I had a hard time connecting to her field when I actually was working with her. That was kind of a first for me. I can connect super easy. And it was important for me to go way far out to really find where this person kind of energetically was. And that was
um,
kind of interesting for me because it's usually way easier for me to just lock in, but I think it's because for many, many years she was so disconnected from her spirit. Her spirit was broken in terms of abuse for many, many years, and then self abuse for many, many years. In her college age, she said that she really, really led the trauma led to alcohol abuse, pills, lots and lots of just getting out of her body, self harming, the whole 9 yards, and has been sober for quite a few years. I think it was something like 12 years now, which is awesome and cool. But she still feels very disconnected from her body. And I really wish that, traditional therapies like rehab houses and such really taught more about sentient connection and psychic connection when these people are doing their best to come back into the human form, because they may be working on some addiction belief systems and things, but that sentient connection to the body sometimes just isn't turned back on. It's like it lies dormant. And until somebody activates that in their body, we're not supported. And then, hence, if we're not supported with our own body, we don't feel supported by spirit. Does that make sense?
it does. I think you should explain the sentient connection though. a little
So
more.
sentient is the birthright of being human, meaning it's the feel center that we as a human embodiment of God's source, we are different than the wind. We are different than the trees and even the animal kingdom in that, yes, they feel to a certain extent, but they don't feel embodied quite like we do. And we are on the highest scale of sentience being. That's why we're so coveted and wanted. We can feel others. We have empathy. We can feel others' pain. We can feel collectively. We can feel way too much, hence our empathing.
Mhm.
But the addict does not want to feel, hence why they are getting out of their body with any substance or anything. And
Okay.
when we've been abused for many years, we pull into our body, but basically go out of our body. So we're not connected to our own vibrational frequency. Our sentience is knowing ourself intimately and frequency vibrationally so that we know what's ours. We know what's our truth. We know when we're aligned to, oh, I get that, those kinds of aha things. And a person like this, even though they may indeed be sober for 12 years, are still not necessarily connected. So when someone like that is struggling even further, if I'm already not connected because of my past, it's very difficult for me to feel like I am being, I think, supported by guidance. Not only does the belief system say I don't deserve it, right?
Right. Um, so it's interesting that this all started trauma as a child. So
Yep.
she was already going inward and not allowing herself to be out there and having an open heart and all of the things. So as
Mm-hmm.
she then is going through college and she's going farther and farther out, do you want to explain what that means by farther out?
Well, so it's just when we are addicted to anything that is a substance that takes us out of our connection with our body, I don't want to feel any more pain. So I get high and I just basically, if I've got my auric field, I'm not inside of it knowing that intimate emotion. Oftentimes, it's like I stand outside of myself and observe myself, but this is in their mind protection. I don't have to be hurt because I'm not feeling. I'm pretending like I'm connected, but I'm not going to feel any of it.
Mhm.
I want a relationship, but I'm not connected to that heartfelt relationship in any way, shape, or form because I want to be in control of being hurt again or
And
not hurt
that's where
again.
they're like comfortable, right? They're standing outside of the auric fields that
Yeah.
provide the feel.
And if I don't have my auric field boundary really understanding the what this, which again we don't teach, wouldn't that be great if we taught it in grade school? That I don't have that capacity to discern what is mine and what isn't mine. So
Mhm.
if more pain comes, or if I'm empathing the collective pain of the trees or something like that, I don't have any capacity to understand that. And
Right.
all I know is that that's more pain. That's more pain. I don't want anything, so I'm going to get higher and higher and out and out and out. So lots of times when we're stoned, it's like an astral travel experience that I do on purpose of sorts, but I'm not enjoying the education or the knowledge or the wisdom of astral traveling. I'm just floating,
Yeah,
right?
just out there because you're numb. It's
Hmm.
you're just numb to everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, it is kind of sad, and I think I I I was assisting her in understanding, well, do you take quiet time? And this is the first thing that makes me giggle because everybody that wants to connect doesn't take quiet time. And it doesn't mean that I have to meditate an hour every morning at 6 a.m. on the dot. It's not what that means, but it is understanding some tactic or some commitment to yourself to dial back and eventually really dial down the mental chatter. Because if I am just having so much mental chatter in my head, I never turn it off. And trust me, this is learnable. Everyone goes, but I can't do that. Well, when I started this 20 some years ago, I couldn't sit still for 2 seconds. I mean,
My
I
God.
lost my mind, right?
I was building spreadsheets of things I need to do. I don't
In
know.
your brain, right? In your brain. Yeah.
Yeah, oh my God, I got to turn that laundry into the from the washer to the dryer and I need to take care of this and all that work thing.
The
Yeah,
human doing mental chatter drives us crazy. But if one doesn't take the time to push themselves into that skill because they're choosing to, not because they have to. If I have to, I'm always going to screw it up or walk away from it because it feels like another thing on my list.
right,
So the mental chatter is super important. And we have to also maybe consider how much outside mental chatter we're getting. Am I watching the news? Do I have a family or workforce around me that is constantly bitching about the status of the world? Am I in fear every day for my health and my wellness, etc.? Am I having poverty consciousness and that's just ruminating in my brain? And so this is really, really a big key is just making that commitment to kind of dial down the hamster wheel
Hmm.
chatter in the head. And that's not easy. I'll say it's not easy, but it is possible. And again, don't start with, oh, I'm going to do an hour every day at 6 a.m. because you're never going to do it. Do a couple of minutes while you're standing in the grocery line, right? So, one of the things when we are in this transitionary period also is the mistrust. When I start to get some guidance right away, oftentimes I hear this. Well, how do I know it's even guidance? I mean, I hear something, but it's in my own voice. And I always go, well, whose voice do you expect? Some booming God voice going,
Yeah.
Kim, this is your higher self. Yeah. And you're like, so the voice that we draw things through is our own tone, our own everything, but it doesn't mean that it isn't our higher guidance, but our own mistrust of ourself. And again, this goes back to the lack of my worth, my self-worth, am I enough, et cetera, et cetera. So self-doubt, mistrusting, it's misunderstanding how guidance basically works. Guidance is subtle. It can be, like we said, we start working and the wind kicks up. That makes us laugh because we
Yeah.
notice it. We're
Yeah.
present, you know, and we connect it because that's what I do when I work, wind comes and we know that. So we laugh, when you do things, certain other things come and we know that and we laugh. So these are the misunderstandings of how it comes in.
Yeah. I also think there's a couple things. One, when you're so busy doing, um, you become more and more numb, in my opinion. I think you
Yes,
quit talking to yourself and asking or to your guidance and questioning things. Even if you're not sitting in a quiet space, I still ask questions.
right.
I still ask weird, and Brad's like, "Are you talking to yourself again?" I'm like, "Yeah, I am." It's just butt out. I'm talking to myself.
And I'm answering
Question.
myself.
And then, it took me a long time to trust the voice because I'm like, am I just making this up in my head?
Yep,
Like, why am I answering my own questions like that? And it doesn't feel like I'm answering my own questions.
right.
So it just took some time to actually come around to, oh yeah, okay. It's all there. It's real. And I am getting the answers I'm looking for.
And we together have experienced this many, many times where things come out of my mouth and I'm like, God, that's cool. I didn't even know that. So you can eventually find yourself teaching yourself, which I think is one of the greatest things when you're really letting it flow. You just basically end up teaching yourself. And that's another level of trusting because you're like, well, I didn't even know that. Where did that come from? And so, again, these are things that are misunderstanding how it comes through. That when we get information, however, sometimes another limiting thing is fear of what is coming through. I've had many people in classes go, yeah, but what if that's a trickster coming through? Because, gosh, if you start to get into this world, you hear everything on the internet, from, oh, I was being tricked by a fake, angel, and which is true, it can happen. But most of the time, in my opinion, most of the time, you are getting genuine information if you're, with an intention. But yeah, I mean, a lot of it is fear. Like, I don't want to hear what they have to say. I don't want to change. If they're going to tell me to quit smoking, I don't want to know that. All of those things are
Yeah.
really limiting for the person, right? So
Yeah.
it's like la 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 la, even though I want to do it, I don't want to do it. So yeah, it's
Then
hard.
I get the pendulum out. Are you sure that's what you mean?
Wait, maybe just
I
one
should go
glass
on
of wine?
walks every day. Are you sure?
Yeah. Energetic interference is another one because if we're having like a really crappy day, sometimes I can't connect. If we're having, off the chart solar flares or like you get Schumann a lot, this is something that can maybe give us static or maybe my interference is simply coming because, my kids got a lot of trouble going on or my relationship sucks right now or whatever. So the static interference can really kind of get me off tune as well. So watch the bigger picture of your life, I guess. One of the most important things that I want to point out is do your best not to force. Because if you're
Oh,
going to force yourself to do something, I will never forget. I was with my sister years ago, and she's very shamanic in her training, and I was getting I was getting a massage from her, and she's very psychic in that she can see and feel the guides. And she said something about a big native guide came in, and I said, "Yeah, but native guides never come into me. That's your stuff. Are you sure that's not you bringing it in the room? Because I'm so galactic. I never have a native, and I always wanted a chief so and so to come in. I was so upset." And she's like, "No, you do get them. You just don't listen." And I said, "That's because I force it. I force it." And then when I got home and I extended my meditation. I went up in my healing room. I laid down on my healing table and I just said, "I'm just done with all of this native connection. I don't even care." And then boom, it came in. And I laughed so hard. I'm like, okay, that just shows you when you don't force and just allow her walk away and just let it settle. It always comes in and kicks your butt. It was pretty funny.
Well, and that has to do, so doesn't that really describe how your thought and the vibration you put behind it is manifesting what
Oh
that
yeah.
is, right? Versus forcing it.
Yeah.
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 It's like just like
And
manifesting other things.
And I think one of the things that was really important, even in that case, was I'm expecting my things to come in like my sister Lisa sees them and has
Oh.
them because that's her realm. But
Mhm,
mine doesn't come in like that. Mine
mhm.
came in completely different, even though it was the same kind of a guidance, it came in completely different. And this is really something I see when I teach. Because when you're in a classroom of 20 to 50 people or whatever, it gets competitive in terms of how I see my guide and how I connect with my guide and da da da. And you feel like, well, I mean, how come Sylvia Brown gets to talk to Francine every day of her life in any way, shape, or form? And I don't have a Francine, so I must suck, you know? And it's like, that's not how it works. You know, my Francine might be, I just noticed the wind kick up, and that is Francine, you know, that sort of a thing. So do your best not to expect to do it like everybody else. And sometimes yours may be super subtle. It might not be this blasting wind that's making my eyes water, but it might be something super subtle, like a continual, you know, voice of a bird that's constant until you finally look at it, or something like that. It might be something really subtle, right?
Absolutely. Like the one thing that I know for like my mom and myself is when I'm really looking like I'm off, I'm really looking for something, it's usually a cardinal that shows up.
Yep, a
And it will
lot of people
just
get that.
look at me in the window like, "What are you doing? We're
Yep,
here." You know,
yep.
you are just relax, let it flow. And so it's a really great, it's good if you figure out what that trigger or what that thing is that they are trying to get your attention. And it could be angel numbers or you always
Oh,
see
that's a
before on the,
huge one. Yep.
yeah.
It can be constant consistencies and
Mhm.
synchronicities and things like mine have been off the charts for numbers lately. I'm not sure what that's about, but yeah, it's been crazy. But echoing is another really cool thing. Like I'm sitting here thinking of something and maybe somebody else says it, or the song on the radio said it, or I look up on the wall and it says it on a sign. So that echoing thing is really, really fun. It's important for us to stay in our body and be grounded and present though, because if we're again floaty like this gal, you're never going to see all that stuff if you're not in your body and grounded and being able to do that discernment process. You're not going to be able to go, "Oh, I've seen that same message 4 times in the last 2 days." You know, that's important in terms of that. One of the things that I find in classes a lot too, and in clients, is overcomplicating everything. Oh my God, I have to get my rock and I have to have the right candle and I have to have the right music and I have to, you know, this, the have to. And that is just like so, again, it's like trying so hard to see a fair. I remember being up at the Palmer House, everyone trying so hard to see the fairy or the ghost, and they're trying so hard that the ghosts were everywhere and the fairy lights were everywhere. And I'm like, you're trying so hard, you're missing everything.
Yeah.
You're so busy setting up the space that you missed the
And then
thing.
when we sat back, we're like, "Oh, the
Yep.
little pinpoints of light, you mean? Like floating
You mean
around?"
those things that I see every day? You know, that kind of things. And again, when you see that pinpoint, it's important to understand, like you brought up a second ago, ask for clarity, ask more
Mhm,
questions. Who are you? What do you want? Why are you here? What would you like me to do with that? Right?
mhm.
This is a, like a relationship. I mean, when we have a friend human relationship or a family member or whatever, we don't maintain relationships without conversation and connection and talking and asking and listening. I mean, it's the same thing. I think sometimes we think that it's different because they're ethereal beings, right?
Right.
Non-human.
Right. I agree with that. But it's easy, like I said, when you get into the doing mode, then you start to become farther and farther away from those feels that,
And not just the doing, like this gal, if she was really untrained from her sentience, it is
mm,
her responsibility, if she chooses to do this effort, to get in touch with the bodies, to start body scanning, to start noticing, wow, I heard that and my throat tightened up. What is my throat trying to say to me? Or gosh, I'm standing in the line and at Walmart here, and all of a sudden I feel like I'm shrinking down. What's going on? What is this? What's happening? What's the trigger here? Those kinds of conversations with the old meat and bone body and the organs inside of it are really critical. And watch your breath. I mean,
mhm,
watch your things like, oh, some of the things that we want to do, like you said, is notice things. Did my hairs just stand up on my arm? Does my,
mhm,
what is my intentional connection here, and or non-intentional, maybe, like, wow, I just pulled back from that. That's really freaking me out. All of those signs are really part of being sentient,
mhm.
right?
Yeah, that totally makes sense. It's so, it's practice,
Yeah,
it's allowing yourself to open up and practice and for me, it's finding kind of the magical little moments, of,
that's
um,
great.
because
Explain that a little and how you find them and what they might look like.
well, just like the cardinal example is like when it just sits there and looks at you, it's like, wow, this is really a magical little moment of this cardinal
Yep,
just staying right there looking at me. But throughout the day, there'll be something that's bothering me, and it's like, gosh darn it, I just can't. I'm trying to think of an example, but like it's not quite a worry, but it's like something that's just a little anxiety-ish, whatever.
yep.
And then all of a sudden, something will be said, like you said, like on the radio, or there's a thought that comes into my head that was like, wow, where did that come from?
That's a huge one.
Okay, take a deep breath, just release that out. Everything's fine.
Yep.
Kind
And that's a huge one when the thought pops in. That is your guidance. That is your consciousness. That is your higher self. And you're
of,
hitting on a couple of the elements that are really very much how spirit works. Go back to the cardinal for a second, because I want people maybe that haven't really thought that through to understand, just because I'm thinking it's my, deceased mother or father, my mom or my dad isn't a bird. It's not like they turned into a cardinal. They're utilizing that body of source to bring forward the energy and the message. So I'm not sitting there going, wow, my dad's a bird now. That can be really tough for people, because I'm like, what? And that can be difficult. So it's not that they've done, turned into something or changed form. They're using that form with a frequency to connect with your frequency of understanding. So it's a vessel.
yeah.
It's just a
Yeah, like
vessel.
they didn't reincarnate into a bird,
Right.
like like you're saying, like their soul is in that bird. It's just a way to get your attention.
Yes.
Like finding a number, like for me, it's usually 222 on the clock.
Yep.
It's like, oh, 222. All right, what am I supposed to be paying attention to right now? There's
Right.
something.
Right.
It's a way to get your attention. And yeah, it's just I call those magical moments because I'm actually listening, and then something will pop up. And sometimes it's more than once before I'm like, oh, wait, that happened multiple times within like 2 hours.
I
What
just
is
saw
that?
222
Yeah.
22 times.
Well, not that close
Yeah.
together, but yeah, you know what I mean? Like, um, just something random that it's like, oh, wow, that was unusual. And then again, it's like, oh, okay, okay, what am I listening for? What is this?
And I think the excitement that you have, even in telling it, your face all smiles and lights up, is fun, right? I
It's
mean,
fun.
those are fun. And it's
Yeah.
important for us, in my opinion, to get excited about that and get grateful for it, and gratify the connection, because the more that goes out into the field, the more like finds like, and I get more and more and more, right?
Yeah. I was sitting on the dock the other day, really just focusing on the water and show me a sign that this is, I'm really working with the water right now.
Yeah.
And show me a sign that I'm on the right track and that I'm blah blah blah. And all of a sudden, little snapping turtle's head popped up, looked right at me like, "Are you kidding me?" Like, yes. And then it
Right.
looked at me really hard, and then it went like back down, like, okay, just keep
That's
going.
awesome. Yeah. Yeah. So talk to me about what your like connection signs are. Like you said, you've seen the cardinal. What else happens to Kim's body? Anything in specific?
Well, for me, it's really um when I get that trigger or nudge in my head about something
Okay.
and I don't really pay attention, then there will usually be a sign of some kind that gets my attention. And I'm like, oh, wait, I heard something, but I'm not sure what that means. And then I'll ask questions. I might
Okay.
get my pendulum out and start asking questions, yes, no questions.
Oh,
Like
awesome.
when I
Okay.
feel like I'm just not quite connecting, my pendulum will help me actually connect better with
Yep.
myself, higher self. And so it just depends on what it is. But I'm telling you, it's very easy if you allow all the distractions to not do this for quite a period of time.
Yep.
And they're there, they're trying to get your attention. But if you allow all the distractions and you allow yourself to go into kind of a non-feeling state, that numb state, it just doesn't happen. You,
Sometimes the numbness is helped when we get more physical with the physical, meaning
Mhm.
sometimes if I'm going to make the intention to ground myself or lock down my space, meaning like I'm going to sit out here in the screen porch, but I'm going to make it feel like it's contained so that I can again discern if spirit is coming. So I'm going to think, oh, I'm going to just drop that wall, drop that wall, drop that wall. That's called the sacred circle of north, south, east, west, above, below. If I give that intention of containment, sometimes that makes it feel like I'm more intentional about grounding into this space. Secondarily, if I use my body a little bit for intention, I'm going to maybe put my hands on my heart, or maybe my heart in my third eye, or maybe my heart in my belly for my feel centers. So if I'm connecting to my meat and bone with a little bit of connection, that helps me clarify some of the intention,
Mhm.
and that can help a lot of people. I believe one of the mistakes people do when they're in that next phase is say something like, well, what's my purpose? Why am I here? That's like this big of a question, right? And you're like,
Like you're going to get
wait,
a document in your email.
yeah, I mean, you're
What you need to
waiting
be
for
doing.
this, like ethers to go, well. So I believe it would be way better to start practicing and things like, let's work together on showing me a sign today for my purpose. Maybe we can show me something that relates to bees. We just picked a bee card earlier, some can I recognize something today so that it's much smaller? And just really being able to validate and anchor that in when it happens, because I think sometimes we make it so enormously big because we think spirit's supposed to be
Uh,
infinite and we
Well,
miss it.
I have really had a tough time grounding for a while
Mhm.
now, and we did some work up here that really was super helpful for me in learning a different way to ground using like the visual of water,
Yep.
which is different for me. I'm usually standing and hugging a tree and just,
Yep.
going way down into the ground, which I'm still doing some of that, but it's a different way. The other thing is that when I'm feeling kind of not totally there and a little uncomfortable, that's when I call in my higher self guidance. But I also call in the archangels,
That's good.
the vertical and horizontal archangels, to be with me and to bring me grace and awareness and clarity.
Yep.
And that what that does for me is it releases that feeling of unease because I feel like I'm supported then when I call that in, when I call
And
them,
yep, that's another sense of that sacred circle. Yeah. So
right.
east is air, and that is God, Raphael.
Raphael.
South is fire. Sorry. South is fire and it's Michael. West is water and it's Gabriel. North is Uriel and earth. And then above you can use Metrodon or Father Cosmic. Below is Sandalphon or Mother Earth. So
Yeah.
you can use all of those things. And or you can just intent it. But I think that's a piece of it. You're feeling safer to
Mhm.
move forward with your intention. Also, Kim, what you're doing is you're coming into a presence. So now I can go, oh my goodness, so many people do this. I have goosebumps. I don't do the goosebump thing. Maybe I'm broken. I don't know if I just don't have them. Or the hair on the
Wait, no,
arms.
you literally have goosebumps right now, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
okay.
my feet do. That's about it. They're burrowed in a pillow in here in the freezing cold. But yeah, I don't get the same thing, but lots of people, oh, hair on my arm, or
Oh
oh,
my gosh.
goosebumps, or oh, the tingles.
I get the
Yeah,
head thing.
you get the head thing, the crown thing. Maybe you're getting the symbols, like you said, or the 1 2 2 2s or the 1 2 3 4s or something like that.
Mhm.
Both of us get, I get very much just the cognitive, just the inner nudge thing. Synchronicities. I also go out of my body super easy. This is a connection for me. I was doing it this morning. Instead of doing something intentionally, what I sometimes do just for connection is just go soft eyes, meaning I look at everything and nothing. I look at everything and nothing. So you're looking at nothing with focus and everything with unfocus. That's what that's called. Or look through something. If I'm looking at a tree, I'm really not looking at the tree. I'm looking through the tree and around the tree at the same time so that you come into that sense of being held with the frequencies. I can maybe see wiggles, I can see patterns, I can feel nothing or see nothing, but you're kind of gone.
Mhm.
So those are another way to be able to really help yourself just feel the bigger infinite energies that support or hold you. It doesn't always have to be like the little voice inside of you chatting away. It can just be the infinite hold. And that's kind of fun to practice with too. But with this particular gal, I was really encouraging work with your human body and work with the planet because when somebody is so disconnected because of trauma, the body is not where we feel safe, and it's programming the mental senses and especially the spirit that was broken, and then obviously the physical and the emotional follow. But that feeling of that this container is safe and it wasn't violated and it wasn't something I had to run away from. And so body scanning, sitting with the body, talking to the body, laying the body on the earth, feeling that mother energy caress you just by laying, or putting my feet in the sand or the water. These are all things that someone like that, it's almost imperative you do that work because there's no way to reboot your body in
Mhm.
terms of that safe until you do that natural work. And so I've never been to a rehab place, but I can't imagine they're all sitting around a circle talking about Mother Earth, but I wish that they would. So,
Well, and I wish they would even at a younger age for children so that you
yeah,
already know how to do this.
yeah,
It's too bad that that was all shut down for all of us for
yeah. And again, these are psychic senses that are your birthright. Sentience is our biggest birthright of being a human, and we don't trust it. We trust everything outside of ourselves, and guidance doesn't come from outside of yourself. It
right.
feels like it does, and this is the last thing I want to unleash before we round this down. Everyone thinks I have to go find guidance, and the actuality is guidance is within you. I mean, God source is not out here on a cloud like floating. It's within us, and we just can't get our heads around that. So sometimes it's really fun to do the meditative process of turning inward with really big concentration and clarity, kind of like I often say it's like taking off a really tight sock where you turn it inside out. So turn yourself inside out and go in and see what you get. And that's why body scanning can be profound,
Mhm. Yeah,
right?
it's a that is a amazing thing to do. And again, it took me a lot of practice working
No.
on that. And I'm still working on it.
And have
It's,
some
you
fun
know,
with practice. You don't have to, there's no fail in this stuff.
no, no. And
Yeah.
but I just, for me, I had expectations of what it would be. And again, I was trying to force it
Yep.
instead of just allowing the flow and allowing it all to, come through.
And
So
allow it Kim's way, like you said, you have evolved from the kind of grounding you did with the tree into the kind of grounding we were practicing the other day. And it's bringing you to a different level because you've put the work in to evolve. So you're not going to be what you see in a class with somebody else or on a book or on a YouTube. You are going to do it Kim's way. And once we get comfortable with that, that's when things really start to click, right?
yeah, absolutely. Because what's meant for you is meant for you.
Yeah.
It's in you. It's in you, like you
Yeah.
said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, on behalf of the wind, I thank you for thank you for being here.
When you got on some serious topics, it would just really kick up. It's amazing.
It is,
Wow.
it's a fun element to work with, but sometimes up here it gets a little crazy. So on behalf of all of us, all right, maybe share this with someone that you know. It would be lovely for you to maybe hit subscribe, share the button, leave us a comment, and maybe even hit the little bell so that you know that we have, I think we come out almost every week now, if
Yeah.
not every week.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, share this and send the message along because we are here to help and would love to hear from you. So until next, everybody,
Yeah.
Cosmic Hugs.
Goodbye.